Hello friends, till now I think all of you got a good understanding about sampling, sampling methods and the sample size or the sample size determination. So, one last but very important aspect that is left, especially when you are using sampling or survey based survey as a main research instrument, that is the possibilities of error that may be creep in your sample survey process. So, as I told many times that most research in social science is carried out on the basis of the sample survey. Now, the reliability of the estimate you get from the sample survey, that can be affected by the error component which may be present in the survey. Now, this error component, there are two aspects or two broader part of this error component. One we call the sampling error, another we call the non-sampling error. Sampling error is result of selecting sample instead of using the whole population. On the other hand, non-sampling error it is due to adopting the faulty research technique, or it may be the fault in the data processing stage also. So, if I put it into different way, like sampling errors that arise solely as a result of drawing a probability sample rather than conducting a complete enumeration. Non-sampling error on the other hand are mainly associated with data collection and proceeding procedure what you adopted for your study. Now, we will look into these two type of errors, sampling error and non-sampling error in more detail. So, what I told that sampling error, it is the because of you choose to select sample instead of the going through or instead of surveying the whole population. Okay. So, sampling error is a statistical error that is arising out of certain sample selected being unrepresentative of the population of interest. So, whenever you select sample, okay, it may be possible that the selected sample does not have or does not contain the true characteristics, qualities or figure whatever you are studying of that of whole population. So, what are the main reason of this sampling error or what are the causes of sampling error? Okay. It generally arise out of the defective sampling design, faulty demarcation of units, wrong choice of the statistic, substitution of the sampling unit done by the enumerator for their convenience. So, this may be the possible reason. And how the sampling error can be reduced? The prevalence of sampling error can be reduced by increasing the sample size. But if you remember, and when we were discussing about sample size determination techniques, I told that large sample also poses a number of problem in terms of ethics, in terms of the cost, in terms of resources you required, time you required, and also in terms of that how much effect or you want in your study. For decreasing the sampling error, you cannot limitlessly increase your sample size. Secondly, the random sampling process is an additional way to minimize the occurrence of sampling error. Okay. So, if you remember, I talked about broadly there are two type of sampling, one is probability sampling methods, another is the non-probability sampling methods. So, probability sampling methods, if you are using like simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, okay, if you are using, so they generally there is a less chance of the sampling error than when you compare it with the non-probability sampling methods. Now, within the probability sampling method also, the stratified random sampling generally resulted in less sampling error than your simple random sampling. Okay. As you divide the whole heterogeneous whole population into the much smaller or much homogeneous unit. But one thing you have to keep into mind, whatever technique you adopt, so whenever you are using sampling, so there will be always some degree of the sampling error. But the positive things about this sampling error is that it can be determined that how much sampling error is present in your study. Now, coming to the different type or different categories of the sampling error. So, sampling error may be these three broader type. It may be the population specific error, it may be selection error, it may be sample frame error. So, what is population specific error? Population specific error, it occurs when the researcher does not understand whom to survey. It will be more clear if we take an example. Let us assume that you are conducting a study to understand or to know about the clothing pattern of the children or kids. So, now in this case, who will be your respondent? Okay. So, it may be mother, okay, because most of the cases she chooses what cloth her kid will wear, or it may be the father, okay, who generally pay for those clothes, or it may be the both parents and father. Now, if you consider the children you are studying, okay, they are little bit more of little bit older, means maybe 6, 7, 8 years. Okay. So, it is also possibilities there that the decision of the mother is affected by the choice of the son or daughter. Okay. So, who will be the appropriate respondent for your study? Okay. So, that is the source of the population specific error. Like, let us take another example. Maybe a political party decided before the election, a political party decided that look into the popularity of the candidates, okay, and for that purpose, okay, so they carry out a survey among the survey is being carried out among the supporter of that particular political party, or instead of studying the whole population. That means again it can give a biased view. Okay. So, only the person who are the part of the political party, their view or opinion will be registered and the decision will be made based on that. Okay. So, again, so that means, okay, so it is not the true picture, because in the voting process the whole of the population will vote. Okay. So, this is another example of the how the population specific error, okay, that is one type of the sampling error. Okay. Second type is that selection error. So, selection error occurs when survey respondent is self selected, or when only those participants who are interested in the survey they respond to the question. Self selected means, like I was giving the example of the popularity of the possible candidates. Okay. So, the possibility is there that the people or the individual who are associated with that particular political party, okay, so they will take part into the survey in the more number than the common public or the common people, okay, who have nothing to do with the politics. So, this is an type of the selection error. Or maybe, okay, a particular company studying the attributes or what attributes of a product, okay, generally attract its customers, okay, or studying about the different attributes of the product, positive or negative attributes of a particular product. Okay. So, now they mailed the questionnaire to all the people randomly, or they carry out a study, okay, in the marketplaces. Now, those people, okay, who use that product, or maybe who have a very positive opinion about the product, or maybe very negative opinion about the product, okay, they will take part in the survey. Rest people maybe there is a chance they will ignore that. Okay. So, this is an example of the only those participants who are interested or already the user of the product, they will answer the question. Okay. So, these all are the example of the selection error. The third type of sampling error, that is the sample frame error. Sample frame error, when it occurs when a sample is selected from the wrong population data. So, like most of you as a student of the social science, so mostly for carrying out the before you sampling, okay, before you start sampling, you use the voter list, maybe the telephone directories, okay, to look into the who are your possible population to study, who will be the group of population or respondent for your study. Okay. Now, the telephone directory, okay, now if you consider that it contain the name of or it contain the mobile numbers, Okay. So, nowadays most of the people have more than one SIM, and also in a family there are a number of mobile phones. Okay. Like before it was only the single telephone which used to be there in a particular house. Okay. So, now in these cases, so there is a chance for the duplication. Now, in case of you are using the voter list also for finding the population or for specifying the population, then again it is possibility is there that people are that particular person already migrated from that particular village, means based on this type of faulty population data when you use when you start sampling or when you do sampling. Okay. So, that is the origination of this sample frame error. So, now in the beginning, okay, I told that one positive part of with this sampling error is that you can actually determine what is the level of or what is the extent of sampling error present in your sample. Okay. So, the sampling error is generally calculated by using the formula of standard error. Okay. In this particular formula, I think many of you already know this particular formula. Okay. So, this sampling error is equal to z score into sigma by root n. Okay. So, this z score, it is like when I talked about the determination of the sample size. Okay. So, z score is in the similar way, it is determined based on the confidence interval or the level of significance, means in the 5% level of significance, that means this 95% this confidence level, the z standard score of the z value or z value is 1.96. Okay. So, that is the you can easily find it out from your z table. Okay. Now, sigma is the population standard deviation. Now, most of the cases, as you do not know this population standard deviation or the actual value of the population standard deviation, mostly we use an estimate of it, that is the sample standard deviation. Okay. And n is the number of size of the sample. Now, if you look into the formula, it is evident from this particular formula that if you keep on increasing the n, so it will automatically, the sampling error will automatically decrease. Okay. But there is you cannot increase the sample size as much as possible. One part is that I already told, that ethical issue, cost issue. Another part is that this sampling error and non-sampling error, which we will discuss further. Okay. So, they have a peculiar again relationship. If you keep on increasing the sample size, the sampling error will decrease, but the non-sampling error, that generally increases with increase the sample size. So, because of that trade off also, you cannot increase the sample size limitlessly. So, what can you do to reduce the sampling error or chance of the sampling error? Okay. So, one I already told you that you can increase the sample size within the range that can be determined by the sample size determination formula. Okay. Secondly, okay, as I already told, within the probability sampling also, okay, the stratified random sampling, that generally resulted in the less sampling error. Okay. That means you can divide the population into groups. When you are dividing the whole population into different subgroups, okay, so they are much more homogeneous. Okay. So, it again aids in the reducing the sampling error. Okay. And the last important thing is that is if you look into the selection error or your population specific error or the sample. So, in this particular all these error cases, okay, so that is the result of that the enumerator or the researcher may not have the full knowledge or in-depth knowledge about the different population characteristics. Okay. So, that means you have to, as a researcher, you have to have the full-fledged knowledge about the different aspect of or different attributes which you are studying within the population and how the population possesses those attributes. Okay. So, that will again aid in the reducing the sampling error. Now, coming to the next type of error, that is the non-sampling error. I told everything apart from the sampling error or apart from which is arising out of the sampling process. Okay. So, that comes under this term non-sampling error. Okay. So, non-sampling error comprises of all the errors other than the sampling error. Now, this non-sampling error, okay, that will be present both in the cases of the census and sample survey. Okay. Sampling error, that is only present in case of when you are using sampling as a method of the study. Okay. So, when you are using survey, that means you are studying every unit of the population. Okay. Sampling error will not be there, but non-sampling error will always present. So, as I already told that they have a inverse relation, okay, as sampling errors decreases the sample size increases, but as you increase the sample size then the non sampling error also increases. Okay. So, now coming to the reason of non sampling error, that what are the causes of the non sampling error. Okay. So, there may be the multiple causes. It may be the because of the errors in population definition, it may be the faulty design of the questionnaire, okay. It may be the biased question, it may be the biased approach of study, way of posing question, that may also cause the non sampling error. Okay. Also it may be because of the information provided by the respondent, like you are asking for the recall or you are asking for information which required a long recall period, maybe what you adopted 10 years back. Okay. So, that also depending upon the personal capability, memory of that particular respondent, okay, or you are asking the question which are the specially culturally sensitive to that particular person. Okay. So, now depending on all these methods, okay, so that means use of the defective methods. So, there may be the non sampling error may creep in. Okay. Even the non sampling error may creep in, okay, because of after you completed your survey, when you are tabulating the data, when you are coding the data for the analysis purpose. Okay. Even at the stage of the analysis also, okay, this non sampling error, okay, can creep in. Okay. Now, like the sampling error, non sampling error may be a number of broad or number of types. The first type of the non sampling error is the specification error. What is specification error? It occurs when the concept implied by the question is different from the underlying construct that should be measured. Okay. So, like if you take an example, in many cases, okay, so maybe you are asking for a question that how many children, it is a common example that you are asking a particular person that under a study that how many children do you have. Now, depending on the culture, okay, this question may means differently to the different respondent. Like if the person is from the joint family, okay, so he may consider every children in the house as a to give you the number that these are all my children. Okay. So, if he or she is from the nuclear family, he may consider only the blood, those particular children in their direct blood relation as their children. Okay. So, now the same question may result in the different answer. Okay. So, this is one of the example of the specification error. Like another popular example, okay, we use that is like disability. Maybe you are studying the disability and you are asking the person different question about the disability. Now, there is a possibility that disability sometimes, okay, it have to be perceived by that particular person. A particular person may feel that, okay, that I am nothing to worry about, okay, I do not have any disability. So, that is the possibility is there, okay, and based on his perception his answer will change. Okay. So, this is again one of the type of non sampling error. Okay. So, mostly the inadequate and inconsistent specification of the data with respect to the objective of the survey or census, omission or duplication of the units due to the imprecise definition, faulty method of enumeration, interview, ambiguous schedule question or questionnaire question. Okay. So, those basically the reason of this type of non sampling error, and most of this problem happen at the planning stage of your sampling or planning stage of the sampling process. Second type of the error or non sampling error is the coverage or frame error. Now, when we talk about coverage, so it consists of the omission, means under coverage, erroneous inclusion or duplication, misclassification or over coverage of the unit in the survey frame. This coverage or frame error, it is because of the faulty specification of the survey frame. Okay. But sometimes, or it is the omission, or you fail to consider all the units that should be the part of the sample. Okay. So, now in case of this coverage or frame error, you should make clear cut distinction between the error part and when this non sampling error or when this omission is generally used as a part of your research. Okay. Because sometimes deliberately and explicitly you need to exclude certain part of the population from your sample. Okay. So, like you are studying the, maybe if you take an example, okay, you are trying to studying the attitude of the youth towards the taking up agriculture as a profession. So, now for the purpose of the study, okay, so you have to, you decided that you will only include those youth who are over their adult age. Okay. So, those below the adult age or legal adult age, that will be excluded, as maybe there is a chance that they till now they did not develop any concrete idea about the profession and all those things. Okay. So, this is an deliberate exclusion. Okay. So, this does not constitute the coverage or frame error. Another very important type of the non-sampling error that come from the measurement part, also it is known as the response error. Okay. So, this measurement error or response error, it arises from the fact that what is observed or measured depart from the actual value of the sample units. From where this measurement error may come from? Okay. It may come from the poor questionnaire design, survey or census question. Okay. So, that means you have to you have to make the survey question very carefully. Okay. You have to carefully choose the words in the questionnaire, okay, and also order them in such a way that there is no possibility for introduction of the biases. So, now if the questions are ambiguous or they are confusing, okay, then the responses may be the distorted one also. Second is that, second source is that it may came from due to the interviewer also, okay, because an interviewer can actually influence that how the respondent answered the survey question. Okay. So, like if interview is too harsh or interviewer is too friendly, okay, so that generally prompt the respondent, okay, to answer more favorably. So, that means interviewer must pay close attention to the way they ask each question. Okay. If interviewer changes that the way he poses that particular question, that may impact the respondent answer. Okay. So, in a research project particularly, there is a possibility that there may be a number of interviewer. Now, this change of the interviewer, or because if every interviewer will pose the question in a different manner. Also, this become more evident when there is a lack of clear cut instruction to the interviewer. Okay. So, that is also a source of the measurement error or measurement error type non-sampling error. Also, in case of the research project, okay, so this interviewer error because of the lack of training, okay, it may be the lack of supervision also. Okay. So, as a research guide or as a project PI, okay, so you fail to supervise all the interviewer, how they are putting the question, what is the interview condition, that may also cause this measurement type non-sampling error. Now, it may the measurement error, another potential source is the respondent. Okay. So, in case of the social survey, there is always a possibility that the respondent may provide incorrect answer, okay, especially if the question involved are sensitive type or personally sensitive type, maybe it demand the recall information. Okay. So, then there is a chance of the incorrect answer. Okay. Also, sometimes as interview is not an regular situation for a respondent, for most of the respondent. Okay. So, there is also chance for the exaggeration, okay, or underplaying a particular events. Okay. So, and also there is always there is an inclination among the respondent to answer the question which are socially more desirable, if the question are that type. Okay. Like if you are asking for that gender violence in the home. Okay. So, everyone know that it is not, the society does not look upon it as a very good thing. Okay. So, whenever you are asking the question, mostly the male counterpart of a family, okay, so they will always try to answer what a particular ideal family deserve, not what he actually do or what he actually have in his mind. Okay. So, this is one of the type of again it is potential source of the non-sampling error, okay, from the respondent side. Okay. So, now as I told that it is not only during the interview process or during the data collection process, the non-sampling error may also come from or may also arise due to at the processing stage also. It may be because of the faulty editing, coding or the data entry errors. Like most of the cases what happened, we carry out the survey in the field and maybe you only enter the data or enter the information only after the delay after you came back, okay, you as a student, okay, you think like, okay, I will do that in the later stages or few days later, okay. So that again, that generally cause problem, okay. And programming error, that will also be there, like you are using the wrong technique, okay, you are using putting the data in the wrong way, okay, or you miss the certain numbers, okay. So you fail to put the numbers in a certain the right manner, okay. So these things, okay, especially because we use the Excel sheet and monotonous, this data entry is again a monotonous process, okay. So that again it may also the one of the potential source of the non-sampling error. And one last type of the non-sampling error is that the non-response error, okay. So non-response refers to the failure to measure some of the sample units, okay. So now there are broadly two type of the, again there are two types of the non-response. One is the unit non-response, another is the item non-response, okay. In the process of answering the question, okay, due to the interviewer fault or the respondent fault, okay, certain items of a particular, maybe you are using a knowledge test, there are 100 items, okay, 1-2 items may be missed, okay. And also there is a possibility or that respondent actually disagree to take part into the or complete the whole survey, okay. So now non-response increases both the sampling error by decreasing the sample size and non-sampling errors, okay. Now this non-response error is one of the major problem in a social survey, okay, or in social research, okay. So what there are certain thumb rule, okay, that may be followed by the researcher to reduce this non-response error, okay, or actually how to increase that will help you to increase the response rate, okay. The first is that keep the survey and interview as short as possible, okay. It is often not possible for the respondent due to certain obligation or maybe workload, okay, or if it is not there also more than 10-20 minutes, okay, people cannot keep attention or keep on answering your question, okay. So if you increase if your this survey questionnaire is too long, so there is a more chance of the non-response, okay. Also you have to increase the amount and quality of personal contact with your population, okay. It is always better to know your population in the better way, okay. So that generally increases the response rate, okay. And one important thing is that you have to publicize or advertise your survey. Publicize or advertise your survey means, okay, you need to let the respondent know that they are not the only one who is responding to that particular survey, okay. So in this particular cases, the credibility of a researcher can be increased by if they have, especially if he is a student, okay, if the particular letter issued by the institute or that head of the institute, okay. So that generally increase the credibility again, okay. So that in generally increase the response rate, okay. So now if you are using telephone survey or if you are using the face-to-face survey also, okay. So you have to ensure that you call or visit that particular respondent when he is in the home and free of any other workload. In case of the mail survey, okay, you have to confirm first that whether that respondent still live in that particular address, okay. So that again, that is an way of the increasing the response rate, okay. And now whether you are using schedule or whether it is an mail questionnaire, okay. So you have to use the attractive high quality official looking envelopes and letterhead, okay. So that is more true in case of the mail questionnaire, that generally again increase the response rate. In case of the mail questionnaire, okay, so include carefully typed cover letter explaining your intention and guaranteeing the confidentiality of the information shared by the respondent, okay. And very important thing that in case of the mail questionnaire, never forget to include a written envelope with the proper postage charges, okay. So these are certain practical solution to improve the response rate, okay, not the rule of the science, okay. So these are the based on the practical experiences of the different researchers. So before we conclude, so we have to know about the two type of the error which generally known as the systematic and or two properties of the error that is known as the systematic and random error. Systematic error is basically a difference or consistent difference between the observed and true value, and random or chance error, it is the chance difference between the observed and true value. So this, like systematic bias, if you take an example, okay. So if you are using an scale which is faulty. Okay, so you are using a weight scale which is faulty. So every time you measure the, or okay, you measure the weight, or it will give you the maybe the increased weight. So this is an example of the systematic bias, means it generally biased towards the one particular direction. Okay, and the chance error is, or this random error is, okay, so this happen means in this moment it may be giving negative reading, next moment it is giving the positive reading. Okay, so you do not know that when it is happening. Okay, so sampling error account for the most of the variable error. Variable error means that is the random error, the other name of the random error. Okay, so this sampling error, that is the basically the random type. Okay, so most of the variables errors are covered by the sampling error. Now when it come to the non-sampling error, so non-sampling error are mostly they are systematic error, but the random error may also be present in case of the non-sampling error. So I think till now you get a good understanding about the sampling error and non-sampling error, and you can differentiate between them. Okay, so again, what is sampling error? Sampling error is a type of error that occurs due to that the sample selected does not perfectly, is not the perfectly representative of the population of interest. Non-sampling error that occurs because of the, you are using faulty instrument, it is because of the this respondent fault on the part of the respondent, fault on the part of the interviewer, fault in the questionnaire. Okay, so what are the causes? So in case of sampling error, it is the deviation between the sample and population mean. So in case of non-sampling error, it is the deficiency at the data collection stage or maybe at the analysis of the data, that is the main causes. As I already told, the sampling error is random. When it comes to the non-sampling error, it may be both the random and non-random. Okay, so this sampling error occurs when the you using sampling as a method of the study or part of the study. Okay, so in non-sampling error, whether you are using survey, sample survey or census, it will be there. Okay, so in case of if you take the this relation with the sample size, so if you increase the sample size, there is a chance you can actually decrease the sampling error, but this sample size, okay, you cannot control the this non-sampling error by increasing the or sample size. Okay, on the oppositely, sometimes on the opposite, sometimes this non-sampling error keeps on increasing as you have much larger sample size. So we will conclude today's lecture with this two aspect. Okay, again revisiting this particular aspect, sampling error. Okay, it is because of the you have the non-representative sample, often small or undiverse sample. Okay, and what is the solution? Use the bigger, more diverse sample. Okay, so that is the cause and the solution of the sampling error. On the other hand, non-sampling error, okay, so it generally caused by the external factor, and solution you have to very careful about designing the study mechanism. Further reading, you can go through the books, and also I mentioned here certain links about this. You can improve your knowledge by looking into this particular research paper or articles about sampling or non-sampling error. Thank you.